Next on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
On this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, we feature our favorite stories from Purina Mills.
And now, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. This week we're taking a look at some of our favorite stories brought to us by Purina Mills. Let's have a look. A good mineral nutrition program is vital in order to maintain cattle health. But sometimes getting cattle to consume enough mineral, especially during harsh weather, is difficult. Reporter Jim Witt heads to the Dogays Diamond D Ranch in Poteet, Texas, where Land O'Lakes Purina Feeds is helping his cattle get the proper amount of mineral supplements to stay healthy.
When it comes to raising healthy cattle, a good mineral nutrition program is the main foundation.
It's one of those things that is maybe bottom of the mind, but it should be more top of the mind. And just keeping mineral out has so many benefits with reproduction in a cow herd, but also immunity and performance on stocker and growing cattle. It is such a critical factor in the overall production scheme in our cattle operations.
Cattle need 14 essential minerals in their diets to function properly. And even if one is missing, there can be major problems.
One that comes to mind right away oftentimes in this part of the world is with black cattle. If they start to get a red tinge to their hair coat across their back, then we may speculate that there's potentially a copper deficiency there. Or with even magnesium. We know right away we have a magnesium deficiency if that lactating cow is out on really lush, green, highly fertilized pasture and she goes down immediately. We kind of have an idea that there's a problem. Some of those things are very easy to detect right away.
But sometimes actually seeing the results of a mineral deficiency means it's too late to reverse.
Those subclinical mineral deficiencies we can't see are taking away the calf health at birth because colostrum's not where it needs to be on that cow. Just weaker calves that don't get up and nurse right away, and that is significantly a problem. Then we have calves that just don't grow like they should. They're weaker, their immune system's not where it needs to be.
Land O'Lakes Purina Feeds' new Wind and Rain product helps ensure cattle get all the essential minerals they need to develop properly, despite the weather conditions.
The texture of the product is such that if a strong wind comes by, it's still going to be in the feeder when you go check it the next day. The other thing is that it's very resistant to moisture, very resistant to rain. In fact, if you have small holes in the bottom of your mineral feeder and the water can run out, it basically looks the same the next day once it's dried out. So both of those things really help bring some value when we talk about the Wind and Rain mineral line.
Mike Dogay, owner of the Diamond D Ranch in Poteet, Texas, knows it takes time to find the right mineral nutrition program, but he also understands the benefits of a successful one.
We've tried all types of different minerals, and we've just this spring started using the Purina tub. We started out with those tubs back in about March, and actually has had the best conception rate ever on our cow herd.
And the final numbers are astounding.
Before we started using that tub, we were lucky to get 85%. My manager, Timmy Luchek, told me that we were up to 95% pregnancy rate, so that's great.
A higher pregnancy rate now means higher profits later on.
If you just figure what we were getting, say 10% less, on 500 head, you're talking about 50 calves. Our registered calves, normally we average about 2,000 a piece, so that's $100,000.
Not only is the reproduction rate higher, but the correct amount of minerals in a cow's diet can also lead to healthier calves.
There's some really good Texas A&M ranch to rail research that shows that calves in the feed yard that came from cows that didn't have a good mineral supplementation program actually got sick much more often and were pulled at a greater frequency than calves that came from programs where the cows had good mineral supplementation programs.
We'll return to Poteet, Texas for more tips from the experts at Purina Feed next. Let's return to reporter Jim Witt, who is learning more about the best way to get your herd to consume enough mineral during the harsh winter months.
The trick with any mineral nutrition program is, once you find the right one, you have to get the cattle to consume it.
It's extremely important, obviously, to have the right type of mineral supplementation in front of the cattle. In other words, it's balanced nutritionally to meet those cattle's needs in that particular geographical region. The problem is it can be the most well-balanced mineral product, and if the cattle don't eat it, it doesn't do you any good.
That's where the new formulation for Purina's Wind and Rain product comes into play.
We're really excited about the new Wind and Rain formula because it kind of takes those problems that you normally see with mineral supplementation out of the picture. Oftentimes you have a group of cows and there's a certain percentage of those cows that just are more timid to come to the mineral feeder. They just don't eat as much mineral. This new formulation really allows for those cows to eat more, and it does that without sacrificing the upper end intake. And what I'm saying by that is we have less overconsumption of mineral now too. So we're bringing the lower end cows that don't really eat mineral up without having overconsumption on the other end of the range as well.
Purina is working hard to help educate producers on how Wind and Rain can ultimately help increase value in their cattle operations.
We want the cattle to consume the mineral at the proper rate, to be able to hit peak performance. With the brood cow man, of course, he's looking at reproductive performance, and then with the stocker operator, they're looking for weight performance and immunity and overall health. So we really try to point out those benefits on the Wind and Rain mineral that really help our producers become more profitable.
But they can't accomplish that without the help of their highly trained Purina dealers.
They provide superior service and knowledge to our customer base, and they're really the first line of communication when we really launch a mineral product like this.
During tough economic times, some producers might think that cutting a mineral supplement program is an easy way to save money, but that's one of the worst mistakes they can make.
The tendency is to cut corners, and mineral nutrition is one of those aspects that producers need to be very careful of, because it so drives so many metabolic functions of the cow and the growing bull and the growing stocker animal that it can end up costing them much more money than it'll save them by cutting out mineral nutrition.
You definitely can't cut back on nutrition, for the cattle. I mean, it's been tough sometimes paying that feed bill, but, you just, that's the worst thing you can do is especially mineral, cattle have to have that.
It's really hard for people to get over the fact that you don't see an immediate response when you supplement with a good mineral supplement like Wind and Rain. So you need to view it as a preventative measure, and it's very much what I call an insurance policy to your herd. It's a very low-cost way of making sure that these things that affect production and profitability don't come like a thief in the night and grab all your profits.
And the folks at Doge's Diamond D Ranch know they can always rely on Purina products, like Wind and Rain, to meet their nutritional needs.
Purina's been around, I guess, the longest of any feed in this country, so I fed it as a 4-H'er, and I still feed it today.
I've had a great working relationship with Doge's Diamond D Ranch here in Poteet, Texas. And what I really appreciate is they try to always think about the customer first and what will drive customer satisfaction, and they do that by providing a great product, both genetically and both well developed using Purina products.
Reporting from Doge's Diamond D Ranch in Poteet, Texas, I'm Jim Witt for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
The new and improved Wind and Rain product is now available. For more information on how you can get this and other great Purina products, visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Purina's Wind and Rain minerals are research tested and field proven to provide balanced mineral nutrition essential for cattle health, growth, and reproduction. They're highly palatable so cattle consume what they need when they need it. And Wind and Rain mineral special formulation resists the elements so they won't blow out of the feeder and maintain their palatability even if they've been wet. Wind and Rain cattle minerals from Purina Mills, building better cattle.
Discover a great roundup for beef producers. Now, Boehringer Ingelheim Vetmedica Incorporated has rounded up the top brands of animal health products. You bet your boots you won't find more ways to protect your cattle. So trust the leader to protect your cattle. Trust Boehringer Ingelheim. Talk to your Boehringer Ingelheim animal health representative and discover how we can help your operation.
The countdown to savings is on. Get to your John Deere dealer today and get a great deal on great hay equipment that delivers more productivity in every pass. See us before July 31st and choose huge cash-off savings or 0% financing on John Deere quality balers, mower conditioners, and pull-type forage harvesters. See your John Deere dealer for quality hay tools from start to finish. Offer ends July 31st. Offer subject to approved credit on John Deere credit installment plan. See dealer for details.
I'd like a moment with you cow-calf folks to talk about BQA, the Beef Quality Assurance Program. BQA has been designed to reduce bruises, blemishes, lamenesses, and impolite behavior in the calf shoe market. The point is to guarantee as best we can to our buyers and to consumers that we cattlemen know what we're doing, that we're treating our animals right, and the meat they buy is safe and wholesome. Now, most of the big feedlots and ranchers have signed on already, but that leaves the rest of us, and even if you only have 20 cows and a job in town, you need to be involved. Because every calf you sell is going to wind up on a plate someday, and we want our customers, all of them, to have a great dining experience, right? BQA helps furnish you with management tools and useful information to increase the value of your calves. So check it out at bqa.org and see what it takes to be involved in your stake, because it's the right thing to do.
Your stocker operation is a pack-on-the-pounds enterprise where your goal is to get the animals to the feed yard fast. Every minute counts as you battle the weather, livestock genetics, and health issues. Now there's a powerful new dual-action therapy for your doctoring crew that shares your need for fast action. Resflor Gold. Ask your veterinarian about Resflor Gold. See improvement in as few as 6 hours with Resflor Gold.
Welcome back. New feeding technology is set to make a big difference in the way cattle feeders finish their animals. New intake modifying technology from Land O'Lakes Purina Feed is making its way to feedlot operations. For more about this innovation, we turn to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter, who's bringing us the story from Northwest Iowa.
Cattle feeders face common challenges as they work to finish cattle in the most profitable way possible. Battling the weather, managing pen conditions, and working to keep input costs down are at the top of the list for feedlot managers like Garrett Englund of the Farmers Co-op Society in Sioux Center, Iowa.
Since we're up in the northern part of Iowa, we experience winter as severely as anywhere. Our facility here is designed to deal with the most inclement weather. This past winter we had a very high snowfall rate. It was a very cold winter, and we saw an obvious performance advantage for our cattle within the building versus our cattle in the outside. Even though our outside pens are all concrete and bedded, the shelter itself created a much more ideal atmosphere for the cattle.
Beyond cattle comfort, Englund is working to improve the efficiency of his feed ration, taking advantage of an innovative technology from Land O'Lakes Purina Feed, the new AccuRation cattle finisher.
The reason we chose AccuRation is there's really not technology like it out there. It's very unique to the Purina LOL brand, and we felt that this was something that we could add value to our customers as well as add value to our total overall feeding operation.
An AccuRation product is a product that's coming on the market that's going to help the customer become a better cattle feeder, be a better bunk manager, and improve the overall performance of his feedlot cattle.
This new technology, as far as the AccuRation finisher, it's really related along our whole broad scope of the IM technology. It's the snack feeding technology, to where we get cattle to eat smaller and more meals throughout the day, which is very important in a feed yard. What it really does for us is it makes these cattle more efficient. We can reduce our intake just a little bit, but they'll be more efficient at converting those nutrients that they consume. And when we take a look at today's cattle economics, increasing efficiency in today's cattle operations is one of our key goals.
The benefits of the product are, we see it mostly from an efficiency standpoint. Our cattle are more efficient. We saw a very obvious improvement in the cattle that we fed the AccuRation product to versus our more traditional diets.
As a feedlot manager, Englund works closely with Purina's field cattle consultant, Dr. Drew Shane, and with his feed dealer, Jared Terpstra, to formulate feed rations and to best manage the new AccuRation finisher technology to get the most benefit.
One of the nice things we saw about the AccuRation product is, with the labor that we have involved in the feedlot and the shortage, we've gone to a more simplified feeding program. We're feeding once a day, but we still wanted to get the efficiencies of our multiple day feedings as we had in the past. And that's where the AccuRation finisher comes in, as it allows our cattle to be more efficient. The intake modifier allows us to have our cattle consuming more meals at different times, and so we can pick up our efficiencies but also decrease our labor and give us a more uniform feeding program.
The uniqueness of our AccuRation finisher program is that we're going to have even a higher energy diet, because what we're doing is replacing the roughage that we have in the diet with some intake modifiers. And what we're looking at is having a diet that has maybe 2 to 4 units of roughage on a dry basis, and then the rest of the diet is grains and byproducts. And what we're doing is adding intake modifiers to kind of change the eating behavior of cattle so that they will take on more snacks per day and have less intake at each meal. But with that, what we're able to do is change their eating behavior and allow the cattle to stay on feed even though they're on a very low roughage diet.
In response to the challenges that face cattle feeders, Purina's Dr. Ron Scott and his research team developed the AccuRation finisher program. The development process is rigorous and includes work at Purina's Longview Nutrition Center, as well as trials in commercial operations.
When we have an idea, we just don't stir it up in the lab and start selling it. We have a process that we go through in developing a product. So we'll have an idea, we'll work on it at our nutrition center, then we'll begin to feed cattle there. If it looks like it works, then we'll do another study and try to perfect it. In some cases, we'll be working on something for 3 or 4 years at our facility before we get to the next level. So the next level is not selling it, the next level is proving that it works in the commercial operation. So it may be working with ranches, it may be working with the university, or in this case working with some feed yards to make sure that what we've seen at our nutrition center scales up to what happens in the real world.
Dr. Ron Scott, he gets out into the field, but not as much. I'm out in the field on a day-to-day basis, so when we take a look at a project like this, it's very important for my feedback going back to Ron as far as what we might need to change, other potential avenues that we might take that product. So all of our field consultants have a very important role in that, in providing input into our product lines.
I feel very confident in the data that I received from Land O'Lakes Purina Feed. I feel that they've taken the data, they've researched it, they've also taken it on farm and researched it like we've done at the feedlot.
Let's return to reporter Brian Baxter, who's in Iowa, learning more about AccuRation finisher.
Now with hard data in hand, the AccuRation finisher is ready to deliver benefits to cattle feeding operations, whether large or small.
This program really has a nice fit for everyone in the industry. If you got 10 head or you got 10,000 head. We've got some self-feeder programs, so a bulk feeder for someone who doesn't have very many cattle, and that allows you to feed a very high concentrated diet because you just can't get all the right ingredients into a self-feeder because it won't flow. So we've kind of perfected the self-feeder program. It has a nice application for somebody who's weaning calves or somebody with some Holstein calves that want to feed them out.
What I found with the AccuRation finisher is the cattle had a very good feed efficiency feeding this past winter. The rate of gain stayed the same, but between other cattle on a self-feeder, but the feed efficiency was about two pounds better on my AccuRation cattle than on my traditional self-feeder cattle. So, and that makes a big deal in the end on feed costs, on feeding on a self-feeder, because sometimes feeding on a self-feeder can be very costly if the cattle eat a lot but don't convert.
When I take a look in comparing bunk fed to self-fed and on our improvement in efficiency in these type of programs, a lot of times I'll look at the efficiency in a bunk fed situation. We'll improve anywhere from 7, 8, maybe 9% improvement in efficiency. But when I take it to a self-fed situation, I'll see improvements in efficiency pretty easily 10% and sometimes up to 15, 16% improvement in efficiency. That's where this technology, I feel, really shines, is in a self-feeder program, because just like I alluded to, there is no control of intake in the self-feeder. This technology is really designed to help control intake. So I think it really shines in a self-feeder program.
Feedlot managers who use the AccuRation finisher program also see other benefits.
From a feed delivery standpoint, we would end up having less loads delivered to the pens because we're putting less roughage into the diet, which is the bulkiest portion of our feed ingredients. From a labor standpoint and an equipment standpoint for removing the waste out of the pens, it just takes less loads overall. So we have decrease in the amount of labor it takes to remove the product.
One of the big things that's overlooked in this program is that we reduce the reliance on roughage. So there are many times when roughage is very high priced or it's not available. Well, with this program, we can still feed cattle and feed them competitively. Another key thing is that when we take roughage out of the diet, we're also changing the output in manure. In other words, roughage in a high energy diet is indigestible. So what goes in also comes out. And since we have less going in the diet, we have less manure production. So we're reducing the output of manure.
Part of this technology in making these cattle more efficient is we help improve pen maintenance. So Garrett's also looking at it from that standpoint. Can we reduce some of that bedding that he has to use, which is then a cost savings, and also along those lines is keep pen conditions in better shape, which we know cattle, as we get into mud, and we'll get a lot of mud here before too long in our open pens here in northwest Iowa, but we know poor pen conditions really hurt on our cattle efficiency.
With our operation here, we are totally enclosed and confined. We do a lot more bedding, and we saw an obvious decrease in the amount of manure output. We could see a dramatic change in pen quality as far as it being a much drier pen, hauling less manure out, so that is a labor savings that we had.
The AccuRation cattle finisher with intake modifying technology is changing the game for those who finish cattle. In northwest Iowa, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
To further explore the extensive line of products from our friends at Purina Mills, visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. We'll be right back.
You can tell a lot about a cattleman by his cattle. Purina AccuRation feed with intake modifying technology gives cattle that uniform muscular look. It maximizes forage utilization and controls intake based on forage quality and cattle needs. It reduces labor, saves time, and helps cattle perform to their highest genetic potential, boosting your net return. Available in AccuRation Cattle Limiter, Super Lick, Super Block, and Impact Starter. AccuRation feeds from Purina Mills, building better cattle.
Before you head out here, get ready at Cabela's. your source for the hottest new gear at tough-to-beat prices. Save big on everything you need when you shop by catalog, stores, and online at Cabela's.com. Our legendary selection is field-tested and field-proven. You can trust our gear. Cabela's, world's foremost outfitter.
These days, more cattlemen choose Draxxin to fight BRD than any other brand. Here's why.
It works. We have fewer repulls, and the ones that we do repull respond, and we have fewer chronics in the end.
To retreat anything it's a lot more expensive than using Draxxin as a first time.
And the evidence backs up what most cattlemen already know. Draxxin cuts retreats by 50%. So talk to your veterinarian and check the online calculator at Draxxin.com. You'll see why Draxxin should be your first choice to fight BRD.
Basically what it's allowed us to do with our operation is run more cattle through in a given period of time. It's just really been a good product to use.
Do not use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older. Do not use in calves to be processed for veal. Draxxin has a pre-slaughter withdrawal time of 18 days. Please visit Draxxin.com or call 1-888-DRAXXIN for more information.
Quality matters to me because I put the finishing touches on the cattle I feed. I search for the highest quality forages and provide a comfortable environment that allow the animals to thrive and grow. I'm the last person that has an impact on the quality and consistency of the product that goes to the consumer. And that matters to me and the crew that I manage. I'm proud of what we'll do here today.
Welcome back. Build better cattle and you'll build more profit into your cow-calf operation. So how do you do it? What are some of the keys to building better cattle and improving your bottom line? Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter talked with the experts from Purina to find out what steps producers can take to help maximize their return on investment.
Producers are always looking for ways to increase the value of their calves, and there are a number of actions they can take to increase calf prices. One option to consider is a larger lot size. Data shows increasing the group by as few as 5 or 6 calves can boost the selling price by almost $4 per hundredweight. This can be accomplished by narrowing your calving window to create a more uniform calf crop.
What we want to try to do is shoot for a goal to have a 60-day calving period. And when we have a 60-day calving period, we have a more uniform calf crop. So when we take those calves to market, you'll get more of a premium dollar for that group of calves. If you're on a 120-day or greater calving season, look at doing it 1 year at a time, breaking it down and leaving those bulls out 15 to 30 days less than they did prior, and just keep working it and really looking at culling those cows that are really stragglers toward the end and really late, and kind of grouping them together. You don't have to do it all in 1 year, but if you can do it over several years, I think it's less of a hit than doing it at one time.
To meet the 60-day calving window, it's important to manage your cows closely. By monitoring condition score on your cows this fall and winter, you can positively affect the breeding interval and improve the uniformity of your calf crop.
Make sure those cows are in good body condition score when they go into the breeding season. That means when they're calving, they need to be in good body condition score. I really like to look at 60 to 90 days prior to calving, looking at 60 to 90 days after calving, and you're really trying to maintain a body condition score 6 or close to it as you can, because that is a barometer of their reproductive efficiency and prepares those cows and getting them bred as soon as we can after postpartum.
Grouping cows into a shorter breeding season also helps you plan feed needs. Having more cows in the same part of the production cycle means you can use your feed resources more efficiently.
When we get down to a 60-day calving period, we can also feed those calves or cows a lot more economically, because they're grouped together a lot tighter in the stage of production instead of being spread out from early trimester to open to calving.
Another step toward building better cattle is looking at developing a preconditioning program. The demand for preconditioned beef calves continues to increase, and calves in value-added programs sell for higher prices. To tap into that opportunity, producers need to implement health and vaccination protocols.
The key thing that we're trying to achieve, and this is something that everybody has to focus on, is that there's a big difference between giving shots and actually properly immunizing the animal. The ultimate goal is to have circulating antibody in these calves that will help protect them from developing clinical disease when they're exposed to disease pathogens through the marketing or finishing channels. Certainly one of the tools that we use to do that is using solid vaccination protocols. Generally, as we look at vaccination protocols, it's very important to consider trying to do it at the optimal time when those animals are not stressed, where their immune system may not be functioning appropriately.
One goal of any preconditioning program should be to help calves adjust to eating processed feeds. Calves will take to dry lot feeding more easily if they've been exposed to processed feeds before weaning.
The primary goal is to keep them from getting sick, and the only way you're going to do that is to get them on feed early and also put something that's very well balanced in front of them. You need to think ahead of time. You don't want to wait until the last minute to make preparations for weaning because it's too important and it's a very stressful time. If you think about it like this in general, cattle that don't eat get sick, and sick cattle don't eat. So if you ever get in that futile cycle, it sends your profits down the drain.
If we can keep cattle going on a constant plane of nutrition throughout their entire life without these peaks and valleys, then we've got a better chance of them, number one, not getting sick, number two, performing like their genetics say they should perform, and therefore having some more predictability in their gains.
Let's return to Purina Farms in Missouri to learn more about how you can build better cattle.
The weaning phase is perhaps the most stressful part of a calf's life. The change in environment and separation from the mother can cause a calf to not eat as it should. That's why it's important to select a well-balanced feed ration specially designed for starting cattle.
Purina's got a couple different programs that can help you put a well-balanced ration in front of those cattle, but also be a palatable ration at the same time. We have a traditional ration in the preconditioning receiving chow ration. It again is one of those rations that has that 40-45% true roughage. It's balanced to where they can eat 3-3.5% of body weight. You'll be getting plenty of nutrition, but at the same time stay healthy and keep that rumen environment like we needed to keep them on an upward plane of nutrition through that weaning phase. We have also a really unique and innovative program in the Impact Starter program. It's a program that's a little longer term program than the preconditioning receiving chow program. We're talking 2 to 3 weeks on preconditioning receiving chow, whereas we're talking more like 3 to 4 weeks on this Impact Starter program for a commercial calf.
Purina's Impact Starter feed, which combines higher energy and low roughage, keeps calves from losing ground after weaning. And Purina's patented IM technology modifies feed intake so calves don't overconsume the starter feed. The result, calves get on feed faster and gain weight more quickly, adding value every day. Beyond the quality and nutritional balance provided by the starter feed, simple things such as where you position the feeder can play an important role in maintaining the health of a calf.
It makes a lot of sense to put the feeder up against the fence and to set it perpendicular to the fence. So in other words, if this is the fence line, set the feeder perpendicular into the fence. The reason behind that is to make sure that a calf that you just turn into a pen for the first time after you've weaned him, he's going to go around the edge of that pen looking for his mother. So if you set it perpendicular to the fence, he's going to find that feeder eventually.
And don't overlook the calf's water supply.
You think, well, water, whoopee-doo, what's the big deal with water? Well, on weaning calf nutrition, it's vital because these calves must learn to drink water from a new source. Typically, they're out on range, they're drinking from a tank, a pond, or a stream, and now we're putting them in dry lot in some cases, and they have to learn to drink water from a new source. It tastes funny, it smells funny, sometimes it's not clean. Well, if we put dirt in our water, nobody's going to drink it. And the same way with a calf. Well, the key thing on a calf is that if they don't get enough water to drink, they're not going to eat. And if they don't eat, then they can get sick.
Another key factor in building better cattle and higher value calves is realizing that the lifelong performance of any calf begins with the nutrition the mother cow receives while she's carrying that calf.
She's going to be developing a calf inside her, And the one thing that we're learning now is a term called fetal programming, where how we feed the dam really affects the lifetime performance of her calves and also the offspring of those calves. So nutrition, which is protein, energy, also vitamin and mineral nutrition, is really critical for the mama cow while that calf is developing.
The calf crop you plan for today is the one you'll sell in 2011. By making key decisions now, you can make a positive impact on the value of your calf crop.
We always think about this year's calf crop while we're selling and marketing now, but we need to be preparing and thinking about next year's calf crop. And that's when we start thinking about our bull selection, how long we're going to turn our bulls out, making sure that our bulls are fertile, doing a breeding soundness evaluation on those bulls before we turn them out. Some things like that, make sure our cows are in reproductively sound health, make sure they're vaccinated, make sure your bulls are tested for certain reproductive diseases such as trichomoniasis or Vibrio as well. And I think that will help.
Well, I think one of the key things is to use common sense. It's kind of like having your own kids. These calves are your kids, and you're taking care of them now instead of mama.
Fundamentally, it's the right thing to do. With the consumers' increased focus in on animal care issues, appropriate antibiotic use, it is important to really keep our vision and focus on food safety and animal care to make our system most efficient and effective.
A healthy and happy group of calves will turn a healthy profit and make the producer happy as well. I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
You can learn more about building better cattle from the experts at Purina Mills by visiting our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. We'll be right back.
You're not responsible for the weather, just the cattle. And Rangeland works as hard as you do to deliver performance, production, and profitability. Cattle need consistent nutrition. They'll get it year-round with Rangeland products from Land O'Lakes. Deliver what they need free choice in weather-resistant loose minerals and mineral and protein tubs. Get the most out of your forage. See your Land O'Lakes Co-op for products that will stand up to whatever Mother Nature throws at us. Weather's coming in. Rangeland. Consider it done.
Comprehensive, practical, powerful. Now's the time to put the power of DNA to work in your herd with the comprehensive Igenity Profile. The inside information from Igenity can help you make more confident replacement heifer and herd sire selection decisions, add marketability to your feeder cattle, make faster genetic progress, and more. The best time to get started is when you're already working cattle during branding, weaning, or bull soundness exams. Get started today. Visit Igenity.com or call 1-877-IGENITY to put the power of DNA to work in your herd.
From fresh tomatoes to potatoes and chicken to beef, we're as picky about our quality ingredients as you are. Because that's what we're made of.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is the premier cattle industry organization representing your best interests in Washington, D.C. and across the country.
I want to have my voice heard, and this is the strongest way I can speak it is through NCBA. And my little voice gets a lot of magnitude with this group.
Well, I've been an NCBA member for a long time. My family thoroughly believes in giving back to the industry that they make a living from, and I've carried that on from generation to generation, and this is the organization of choice for the beef industry.
Every day, NCBA works to represent you on issues including trade, taxes, food safety and nutrition, animal welfare, and the environment.
The main reason I'm an NCBA member is to become engaged, more knowledgeable about everything that's going on in the beef industry.
It's easy to join NCBA. Just visit beefusa.org or call us at 1-866-USA-BEEF.
Although there are often opportunities for college graduates to travel and find jobs in corporate America, some instead choose to go back home and work close to family. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter has more on one Colorado couple that decided to return to their roots.
Matt and Wendy Lewis have no trouble staying busy. In addition to operating their own business, Lewis Limousine Farms in Iliff, Colorado, they also help to run Almond Angus, which is owned by Wendy's family.
Matt and I run a purebred limousine and Angus operation here. We have diversified crops where we raise alfalfa hay and grass hay as well as corn. And then we run mother cows of 250 to 300 cows, which we primarily sell commercial bulls, but also sell seed stock, breeding livestock to other individuals who will then use that.
Several years ago, Matt and Wendy went to Minnesota to get their master's degrees, but after graduation, the two of them felt the best move they could make was to return to Colorado in order to live and work close to family.
While we were in Minnesota, our hearts were set back in Colorado, and while we loved our time there and the individuals we got to work with in our master's programs, our thoughts just kept going back to when can we get back home and start raising cows in Colorado. My grandfather has been here since 1914, and he actually lives now in the house that he was born in, and so his parents lived there and he now lives there, and so we have a three-generation family here currently working on the farm.
You know, ultimately, that's been our dream all along, is to be able to work as a couple and to be a part of not only her family but my family's operation, and just to continue to work toward the future to raise a product. And you know, this is basically our dream.
Since Matt and Wendy are Colorado natives, they're familiar with the challenges of raising livestock in this region. One step they take during the winter months to help offset costs is to have the cattle graze on corn stalks as part of their feeding program.
One of the primary things that producers in this part of the country try to utilize is aftermath feed, and the corn stalks has been a big part of that. One of the things that's been a challenge this year is just the fact that the cattle, the corn harvest was so late, trying to get cattle out on stalks early. We've been blessed because we had a good summer and a lot of summer pasture, so we were able to keep cows on pasture longer.
The weather with the snow definitely brings challenges to itself. Obviously, with corn harvest being as late as it was for us this year, it really threw some struggles out there. People weren't ready to buy cow-calf pairs at the same time they normally have been in the past. And then also when we're ready to get stuff out to corn stalks, we didn't have corn stalks at that time ready. So it has been a little different challenge for us this year.
A challenging but rewarding experience as Matt and Wendy get to raise their family on the same land where they grew up.
I cannot think of a better place to raise a family. There's a lot of other opportunities out there, but in order to just really be able to raise a family and be in a great community and to be able to do that, that's one of the major goals that we have.
Matt and I have 4 girls. We have a 15, 12, 8, and 2-year-old daughters who we just thoroughly have a blast with, and we're thrilled that they can be involved with us in our farming operation as well as all the things that we enjoy the most with our livestock. They show cattle and just have a ball with that, and so it's really a lot of fun to have us all involved in the same goal and the same setting.
It's our goal that they really are rooted solid in the country and in the land, and know that the food that's produced here is the food that they've been a part of, and they've grown up around people that have produced that for other people, and hopefully, whether they stay in agriculture or not, they'll be a good voice for what agriculture is about.
And perhaps one day when they're older, Matt and Wendy's girls will feel that pull to return to the land where they grew up. In Northeast Colorado, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Join families like the Lewis family as a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. To do so, call us at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit beefusa.org.
Look, I know you think this is easy, but when I get done here, I gotta tag those calves, check on the foal, fix the fence, and that's all before Jack's game. We're not gonna miss this one. It's the last game of the season. Easy. This is living.
We understand animals make life better. That's why we put so much care into Purina Mills feeds.
You take pride in the beef you raise. Countless hours invested to assure a safe and wholesome calf crop. Why trust that calf crop to just anyone? Experience the new Dinklage difference. with a long history and reputation for outstanding performance and cattle care. We use a combination of cutting-edge technologies and data-driven decision-making to establish our place as leaders in the cattle feeding industry. Allow Dinklage to be a part of your team in the quest to maximize your profits, with 5 locations to serve you in Wyoming, Nebraska, and Colorado. For more information on the new Dinklage difference, stop by one of our yards or visit us on the web at dinklagefeedyards.com.
Get ready for the Rocky Mountain Roundup. Join the 2011 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show in the city that gets 300 days of sun a year, Denver, Colorado. It's not only a great opportunity to connect with your fellow cattlemen, but you will also attend important industry meetings, find out about the newest technologies, and get all the information you need for a successful year. We'll see you in Denver at the Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show, February 2nd through the 5th. For more information, visit beefusa.org.
If you aren't implanting your calves with Ralgrow, you're leaving money on the table. Ralgrow is tried and true technology that increases average daily gains and improves your utilization of pasture resources. Ralgrow can increase weaning weight in steers and heifers by as much as 20 to 35 pounds, which lowers your break-even point and puts more money in your pocket. Don't leave money on the table. Go to www.ralgrow.com to learn more.
So what do you care if your cattle are source and age verified? Better yet, do you think the housewife cares? Well, 70% of consumers surveyed want to know where their food comes from. So where do you start? With this little green ear tag. IMI Global's the seal of approval that stands behind the beef you produced. IMI is engaged in source and age verification from the cowman to the kitchen table. So if you're ready to start, just ask us. IMIGlobal.com.
Why is B&W's Turnover Ball the best-selling gooseneck hitch in the country? Maybe it's the ingenious way it solves everyday problems. Or because it's time-tested and is rated to tow 30,000 pounds. Maybe it's because our lifetime warranty gives hard-working people peace of mind. Or maybe it's because folks love to own a hitch that's still 100% made in America. The Turnover Ball by B&W. Trusted.
When a cow bloats, we veterinarians and cattlemen are prepared to rise to the emergency. We pass a bloat hose down their throat, or we insert a trocar in their hide. But there are times when we are caught completely unaware. My gosh, how'd you set your hat on fire? Snorting gunpowder again? Well, I didn't do it on purpose, he said, as he rubbed the spot on his chin. His eyebrows were singed off uneven and unsymmetrically skewed, while the glass was gone from his glasses, which rendered him spectacly nude. It was dark, he said. You know, methane will burn. Me and Jake were out checking the stock. We were coming in late and found one that looked like she needed the dock, but we were both cow paramedics, trained to do more than just ride, and savvied her dire situation all bloated and laid on her side. Not having a bloat hose or a trocar, first choices for saving her life, I blindly palpated the left flank for the place where I'd plunge in my knife. I inserted the tip of my dagger. It fit like a key in a latch. When Jake said, "Here, let me help you." Ah! With a flourish, the fool struck a match. A blue flame roared out of the orifice like St. Helens come back from the dead. A whoosh, like an airbag exploding, pinned my ears back to my head. I thought I'd been struck by lightning. St. Peter was trimming my jibs and calling me home with my boots on, smelling like barbecued ribs. Poor Jake took the blast, a full frontal. Though his mustache protected his lips, when he took his hat off his bald head, he looked like a partial eclipse. Well, what kept us from burning too badly, or at least to me it makes sense, was the fireball of flammable gases was mixed with the rumen contents. The flames quickly waned to a flicker. The cow was now laying plumb flat. My chest was all greenish and sticky. I could see by the light of my hat But the insult that cut me most deeply was not the burnt head or the blood. My mouth had been opened in protest, and I found I was chewing her cud. This is Baxter Black from in there.
Welcome back. We love to see the farm and family photos you send us from across the country. Let's take a look at this week's Legacy Photos. Thanks for sending us those photos. To send in your entries, visit us at cattlemantocattleman.org. Thanks for joining us on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. We'll see you back here next week on RFD TV.